These violent video games are stealing the innocence of our children.
Předtím bezproblémový a přátelský Jiří vzal do ruky sošku a na jedné ze společných návštěv svého přítele Lukáše ubil k smrti. Brutálně a bez slitování. Těsně předtím kouřil marihuanu a také hrál se svou obětí brutální počítačovou hru.
And also video games. I'm hearing more and more people say the level of violence on video games is really shaping young people's thoughts.
It's almost routine in popular games for players to spray other people with Uzis.
Not only modern video games like Call of Duty or Battlefield are violent. There were plenty of violent video games even before 2000s, like Mortal Kombat 1 with brutal fatalities. This game was released in 1992. This year was also released one of the pioneers of 3D FPS shooters, Wolfenstein 3D, from id Software, and the following year they released another extremely violent video game called Doom. However, the first violent video game was released in 1976 and it was called Death Race. It was basically a racing game, but your main goal was to run over the humanoid figures with a car. It looked like this. All of these video games were not well received by public, and many thought that these violent video games were the main cause of the rising violence in society. Numerous politicians started to blame video games for increasing violence, and this escalated mostly after school shooting appeared in the US, like the mass shooting in the Columbian University. What made this situation even worse was that these shooters were passionate about video games in general, particularly Doom. I believe you know what happened next. The video games become everyone's target, from politicians, the media, to regular people. Everyone seemed to hate video games. However, let me tell you something. Here are two graphs. One of them is showing the rising violence and the other one is showing the growing sales of video games industry. Can you see it? The graphs are not alike, they contradict themselves. When these mass shootings occurred, the American politician Hillary Clinton was trying to fight video games as much as she could. She said, "We need to treat video games the way we treat tobacco, alcohol and pornography." In 2005, she and other politicians wanted to make a new law about video games and force sellers to sell video games to people based on the rating given by FIPA. Fortunately, it didn't go through. However, in California, there was a similar law like the Hillary's one. California wanted to prohibit the selling of video games to people under a certain age. This led to a trial, and the Supreme Court of the US cancelled this prohibition and forced California to call off this bill. This was a huge victory for the video games and for the video game industry as a whole. Many people argue when someone plays violent video games and kill innocent NPCs, they'll get used to killing and may be able to kill in real life. I cannot imagine doing this. I've played a lot of violent video games, from GTA 5, Saints Row, to the king of the violent video games himself, Doom. I cannot even imagine being able to do things I did in these games in real life. There may be someone who will kill people, but he'll do it anyway, regardless of the playing video games or not. Others argue that when someone is angry because of the video games, they will destroy everything in their room and leave nothing behind. This may be true for some individuals, but not for everyone. Most players are trying to improve. When they are killed, they will try to get better in that game. For example, you play CS2 and you'll die. Again. And again. Some players will rage quit and never play it again, but some will try to understand what did they wrong and they will try to learn from their mistakes, eventually getting better in that particular video game. Moreover, when someone kills the enemy, he is not enjoying the violence that he has done in that match, but he is enjoying the feeling of the win and feeling of being better than the other player, because games are really competitive and it can help people to prepare themselves for the world full of competition that we are living in. Video games can also be like a cold shower for someone. They had a tough day at work or hard day at school and they need to turn off their head and relax. They can do multiple activities, from reading books, watching TV or playing video games. Yes, games can help to get rid of the anger and frustration which you may get during the day, because you will play like a totally different person, experience totally different stories that you will never be able to experience in real life. This leads directly to the violence in video games. For example, playing Doom can help you to get rid of the anger, because you will vent it out during gaming session. You are killing multiple demons in a very brutal way and you receive a dopamine, and eventually you will not feel that anger anymore. When you are killing these NPCs, you are just hurting some pixels on the screen, not real people in the world. I believe that video games are not cause of violence in our society. I don't think that they are fuel and help people to get the things they wouldn't do if they didn't play video games. I think when people aren't violent, it doesn't matter if they play video games or not. That games will not change them. From my experience, I can say I've played many violent video games and I can't imagine doing things that I was doing in these games in real life. For example, in GTA 5, driving through people is quite common, but I will not be able to do this like myself. Me playing as Franklin in GTA 5 can do it, but me living my life as a game journalist can't do it. I can't even think of killing someone. I would not be able to live with myself for the rest of my life. I also believe that politicians are just blaming video games for the crimes that were committed because it is the simplest solution for them. It will also help them to get the masses of people voting for them in the next elections. They are not trying to come up with real solutions that are dealing with the violence in the society, but they are just trying to use the most appealing and easy ones. However, I'm not saying that video games cannot have negative effects on people. They do, but they are not making them more aggressive or something like that. They can have negative effects if you play them a lot. Don't spend time doing different activities like doing sport, reading a book, learning new skills, getting to know yourself better and so on. I'm just trying to show different point of view about this situation from the perspective that you may have not seen before. And with this message, the video ends. I'm Game Analyst. Thanks for watching.